Good morning, it's Nikki. Welcome to Monday and a brand new episode of the podcast. So today I am sharing some results of an experiment I did last week. I mean, if you've listened for a while, you might be like, what's happened to you, Nikki? You're all like data, analysis. Yes, I am, friends. Yes, I am. Because you know what? We're all tired in 2021 and we all have a lot of things going on. So it's really important that we use our energy and our focus and what we have to give available to the best of our advantage. And I'm all for that live. When people say, just do another 4 or 5 hours after the kids go to bed, no thanks. I don't want to do that. I haven't got any energy. So this is the experiment I did last week. And this, if you've listened to the goal setting 3-part series at the beginning of this month, this really aligns with this. So my word for the year is about flying. And as you're listening to this in a groggy Monday state, you might be like, whoa, Nikki, stop talking about flying. That just seems a bit much. But that's my overall feeling. I want to have lightness. I want to be able to soar, I sound like a Christina Aguilera song. I love that album. Did anybody else? I absolutely loved that. Was it Dirty or was it Dirty? Was it Dirty? I can't remember what the first album was, but I think I was going through quite an emotional relationship situation at the time. I was like, Christina hears me. She understands me. Anyway, enough about Christina. What I did last week is going to potentially be life-changing. And I can't believe I've never chuffing done it before. And I've been doing this for 20 years. What have I been doing? But this is what I did. Last week, I had a very sexy system, not a pen and paper. And as I sat down at my desk, because remember the week before, I'd cleaned it up and it's still looking really nice. It's still working the system. The system of like not having anything on my desk is a beautiful thing. So I had my new pen that I bought. It's a Papermate one, Flexi Grip Ultra 1.0. Yep, that's what it is. If you want to go to W.H. Smith and get yourself one, they come in a 2-pack or a 4-pack. I went for the 4-pack. Because in my family, people like to borrow my pens. Anyway, I had this pen and paper last week. And when I sat down at my desk, I jotted down the time. When I left my desk, or when I was taken away from my desk for a child dangling from somewhere, or somebody needing me, or the doorbell ringing, or the end of my work session, I wrote down what I'd done in that time. And I wrote down the time that I left my desk. So I had this sense of what the heck I was doing whilst I was sitting at my desk. And how many hours I was actually working and what I was actually doing. And was it aligned with my goals? So this could be a really good thing to play with this week if you want to join me in this, because this was very illuminating. Because again, we know that working all the hours does not necessarily bring in all the cash, all the opportunities, all the, oh my goodness, I've got a wonderful business. No, sometimes actually doing a few solid pieces of work or a few solid hours can really ramp things up. So here's what I found. Number 1, I worked less than I thought. And that was good in a way, because when I look at the results of what I can actually do in that time, that kind of blows my mind, because I have been in those situations where I've worked a 50-hour week and I've still not really got the what I wanted to, and I've been paid per hour and it felt really rubbish and all of those sorts of things. So that felt really good. Like, okay, I can still earn way more than I ever used to by working less hours. But equally, by really recognizing how many hours I actually worked, it was no wonder I wasn't getting to the big time goals that I want to have. Because with the best will in the world, like even if I meditate and I have a positive mindset and I do a cat stretch and all those self-development tools, sometimes I've just got to get on my bum on my seat in front of my laptop for a bit longer. So by realizing that I was working less, it's going to make me make some changes this week. Watch out, family. Watch out. Which brings me on to number 2. When I have decent chunks, and I'm not saying like 4 hours at a time because that just doesn't work for us right now, but I'm saying like chunks of at least 90 minutes. 90 minutes is like the golden time for me, where I feel like I'm not on the hour going, oh my goodness, it's 17 minutes past, oh, it's 21, oh, it's 39, oh no, it's nearly up, so I may as well just leave this task and park it to the side. But I need chunks of time with clear objectives. When I have that time, it almost creates a container for me where I can sit down at my desk and I have that sense of, what the heck am I doing here? Because also bear in mind, and sometimes it is lovely, but when I'm working, I'm not doing other stuff. So I'm not just, lying on the floor and staring at the ceiling, or I'm not like with my kids, or I'm not exercising, or I'm not on the phone to a pal, or I'm not cooking my favorite food. Like, I'm working. So when I'm working, I want it to really count. And of course, I don't get to skip all the like very unsexy admin sometimes. Of course, like I'm not expecting to be joyful for every moment of my day. But it does make me think, if I'm working, I need to make it count. Because otherwise, why not just go and get another, 9-to-5 job and get that sort of salaried income and all the rest of it? I've got to make it count. So being really clear about the chunks of time that I need with clear objectives is very important. And being able to track what I did at the end of every time block and think about how that aligns to my goals was really useful. Number 3, this comes as no surprise to myself because I actually know myself very well. If I'm not careful, I can get distracted. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Isn't it funny the places that we end up on the internet? And you only have to look in your history section at the top of your desktop. Where have you been? Who have you seen? Where have you been hanging out? Did you mean to end up there? Yeah. This has been a battle, and I do catch myself much more like, why am I on this person's website? Why am I here? Why am I watching this video? Why am I thinking what I'm going to eat 4 weeks on Thursday when I actually need to just send the email? What am I doing? So knowing that about myself, if I get distracted, I need to just catch it and bring myself back. Number 4, when I am visible and useful, that grows my business. Yes. So you may have heard me talking about polishing the shelves before. The stuff behind the scenes, lining up the paragraphs, creating graphics on Canva. What are those things, like doing back end stuff? And of course, they're all really important and they're all part of the skeleton of your business. But if you don't tell anybody and if you don't show up, nobody knows about you. We are not in the era where somebody might just Google the exact thing that you want and they find you. Having said that, I have just been booked to do a series of 3 talks, and this is another podcast actually, because they first asked me if I would do 1 talk, and then they said, actually, could you do 3 for us? Like 3 would be really great. So that's another podcast. So give me a nudge if you haven't heard that. I'm going to write that down right now. Here we go. We're very professional here. I'm writing live on this podcast that I'm going to do that podcast for you. Okay, so really noticing that I have to show up and I have to be there and put my face on the internet. I have to follow up with people. I have to actually do the things. I have to be useful. There's no point creating all this lovely content on my computer if I only share it with one person. Or if I only just talk about the podcast once, I need to spread it far and wide. And that's what grows my business, because suddenly what happens, especially if you're at my sort of stage, which I sort of think that you are in lots of different ways, is that suddenly what happens when people discover you, they discover your body of work. And in a way, they don't need to go, oh, is she professional? Oh, can she do what I need? Because they can do all that scoping out on the internet, because all the stuff is there. The next thing I want to talk about is being proactive rather than reactive. So you can sit on your email inbox all day waiting for it to ping. So my feeling is, how can you be proactive? How can you reach out? God, I hate that phrase. How can you reach out? How can you connect with people? How can you start telling more people about your business? How can you get involved? How can you get stuck in, as my dad would say? And I think this is true, because otherwise what happens is when you're reactive, when you can quickly get into a mindset of like, nobody ever bloody phones me. I didn't say hello because they didn't say hello back. Or it can show up in a relationship as well, like, he never pays me compliments. And it's like, no, how can you flip that around rather, and be proactive? How can you throw a compliment out there already? How can you do that first? How can you support somebody else's business without expecting somebody just to support yours? So think about this, like take it to your journal, take it to the bridge, write down 5 ways that you could maybe be more proactive this week. How can you be really supportive? How can you show like I'm a good human being and I know what I'm talking about and I'm doing all the things? Be proactive. Don't just wait for it to happen, because if you are reactive, you'll very quickly get into that slump position on your sofa with your arms folded, rolling your eyes, and it just affects your energy. It affects your output. The next thing, I have some really great systems, but also I could do more. There were some ways that I was faffing, doing the same thing again, not really sure what it was, starting again, no, come on, Raby, come on, you've been doing this too long now. Why are you making this complicated? Why does this thing not work? So that really gave me some insight that yes, the things that work really well in my business, and it's almost like, you know, when, I don't know if you experienced that, but when I used to dance when I was a kid, there would sometimes be some moments of the dance routine that I could do full out, like big smile on my face, like I've got this, 5, 6, 7, 8, and spin, yeah, and I would be so enjoying it. And then there'll be those moments in the routine where I was like, I am winging this, nobody watch me, I have no idea what I'm doing, smile and smile. Oh, and then I'd go into the bit where I'd be like, okay, we're back in the room. Okay, I know this bit. So that's how I'm seeing my systems. Some of them are all singing, all dancing, they're working, it's a live digital disco going on. But then there's other bits where it's a bit like, I'm just gonna hide at the back because I've no idea what I'm doing. That's what's happening there. The next one, I need more support in my business. Yes, I do. Not only because I'm probably working too hard for what I'm doing, but secondly, there are things in my business that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing because my skills are in other places. So that's where I am. And I knew that already. I did know that. But sometimes you have to see it. Sometimes you have to see it on a sexy piece of paper that you've written with your Papermate Flexi Grip pen and know what's going on. This was reassuring. And this really gave me a sense of how far I'd come. And you might be sort of somewhere in the journey of this. The fact that I knew what I am and not keeps me focused. When I first started out, I really didn't know who I was or who I was trying to help, because I was trying to help everybody. I was trying to be a good woman and help everybody and consider like that one opportunity or potentially that one email that might pop out of the blue, and I didn't want to not be able to help them. Right? Anybody agreeing? But now I know what I am and I know what I'm not. And going back to what I was saying last week, when I can help people and really help people, my ideal target audience, helping them with the things that I'm good at, I'm in a lovely ease and flow moment. So actually, if I'm trying to do the things that I'm not, that's a disservice not only to myself, but to them as well, because there's somebody else better for the job. So they should really go and get that support. But the fact that I know what I am and what I'm not keeps me focused. So those emails that I get where people go, so-and-so would really love to be on the podcast. And I'm like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work for my audience. This man sounds like, or this woman sounds like they're not going to be kind. It sounds like they're going to come and shout on my podcast. No. That's not the thing. So go back to, again, take it to your journal. What are you and what are you not? And have those very clear rules, pillars in mind, so it will keep you focused. This is the emotional stuff. The other stuff really matters. Ready? Self-care, self-worth, self-development. These are not nice to haves or something that you'll do one day when your work is done. The self-care, the self-worth, the self-development is not just like a one-day retreat once a year, or it's taken on a holiday, like when we finally get to go on holiday or do those sorts of things. That's not what it is. It's those things every single day. Yep, I'm saying it, every single day, because there will be some way that you can show up and take care of self-care, self-worth, self-development, whether that's going and making a really good cup of tea and a good breakfast in the morning so you start fresh, or keeping an eye on your water intake, or having an early night, or taking a day out from your whole diary and doing a big self-development course. Whatever it is, please notice that these are daily actions. They're essential to growing your business. And those days last week when I really took care of myself, when I felt like I had balance, when I closed down my laptop, or when I took a run, or when I actually took some time and properly like blow dried my hair, all those things that build up slowly to make you feel good, that's when my business grew. And this notion that the self-care, self-worth, self-development are flimsy, nice to haves on the side, I could not agree less. This sense of self-worth, it's a biggie, and I know I'm throwing at you Monday. If you're not selling what you want to sell, have a look about how you feel about it. How do you feel about actually putting yourself on the internet? What's coming up for you? What are you afraid of? What is like the worst thing that somebody could say? And I'm saying those sentences like really flippantly because I want to give you loads of value, but also be really gentle with yourself when you're looking at those. And when you're doing that journaling moment, because, I know over the years I've had to do that work. I've had to do that work where I've almost imagined the girl who used to bully me and say that she would kick the shit out of me if I didn't give her my dinner money, like emailing me and saying, I thought your podcast was a big pile of whatever today. I had to go there in my head because all of this stuff is so layered in the way that our body is containing all that information. So unless you pay attention to it, there's absolutely no point in just saying, I'll just do another course, or I just need to think more positively. Give yourself the time and the space And that could be just like going on a walk and going, do you know what? I need to really think about this. Like there's something going on. There's something cooking under the surface. I wonder what it could be. Give yourself that time and space and that permission just to explore it and go, God, I wonder why I feel a bit icky about this. I wonder what's going on there. I wonder how I could help this. How could I keep myself a bit safer and really protect myself and take care of myself? The other night, my son said how much he was missing school and he was really tearful about it. And we had a really good chat about it. And I was saying, like, what would make this easier? Like, what would you, and, you know, I'm not going to go into kind of my parenting or things like that, because you might be thinking, well, that was the wrong thing to say, Nikki. But like, I know that in our moment between us, we found a way of making that moment work for us. But almost take that approach with yourself. Be really kind, be really generous, and really look after yourself and give yourself that conversation of what's going on here. How could I make this easier? How could I just do a little bit more, 5% more of getting closer to where I want to go? What's this? Why can't I understand my own writing? Oh, this is important. How you talk about your business and value your business to yourself and to other people is really important. So from my son being very little, so when he was about 8 months, I think, I started to do the odd kind of day of work. And I'd go, you know, he'd be at home with Matt, and I'd go off and do the odd day of work and come back. And even though the first time that I left him, it was just awful, of course, because you're just full, you know, nobody talks about this stuff, but it was really hormonal, and it just felt, you know, you're in such a bubble of being with your child or being in a certain situation. You know, we're all creatures of habit, aren't we? And we like to be in our comfort zone. But I did make a decision at that point. Oh, I'm getting really emotional talking about it. I made a decision at that time to always talk to my kids about the enjoyment and the joy that I got from my work. Because the person that I've become right now is from a series of actions from that little girl who had big dreams. That little girl who wanted to go for it, who loved creating stuff. That girl is still very much in me. And of course, you know, by going to work sometimes I'm not being with them. But also I would love to show them that you can do what you love. And it's important to earn your own money. It's important to listen to what you want to create. It's important to pay attention to what makes you happy. So even though on the inside I was thinking, oh my goodness, is he going to be all right? And will this happen? And how will he sleep? And all the rest of it. I never wanted to show that to him, of being a weepy mess on the doorstep going, I'm going to miss you so much and I'm so sorry that I'm leaving you. And that's kind of carried on in terms of how I talk about my work and how Matt does in our house. I really show that it's important. And if I can, like, he was really interested in something I was doing on my website the other day, and I showed him how it worked. I had to cut together a tape for an audition that I was doing. I showed him how it works. We had a bit of a homeschooling moment. And Luna is kind of, you know, very interested in the laptop, but for her own unique reasons. But it's really important to show that you are important in this. And you may not be there yet, but if you can talk about things in a way that are important, that you hold space for things. So one of those things that I've done is like, Mummy's desk is for working, and please don't put your toys on there because it can very easily get overwhelming. And when I get overwhelmed, of course, I get more irritable and probably snappier and all those sorts of things. So really set the scene in terms of the importance of what you do and your dreams. And already you might be like, Nikki, it just feels a bit selfish to do that. It's not one or the other. It's not you turn it on or you turn it off. There are incremental ways that you can do this. And I noticed this also with my family in terms of when I had Luna. Like this time I was like, there are going to be times where I'm going to have to work when she's asleep. So those moments where people would just come and sit on my sofa for 8 hours at a time and have, you know, lots of lovely food that I would prepare, I just couldn't do it because I couldn't do all the things, and I couldn't put her to sleep at night and then go, right, I'm going to start my day, because it's just not conducive to how I want to show up. The final thing I want to say is be aware of what you're consuming and make sure that you are having moments where you feel held in the optimism of possibility. So make sure that there are ways where you're observing and noticing what great things other people are doing, or podcasts, or watching series on Netflix that are nothing to do with your industry or, you know, who you are in the world, but you come away from that documentary and you go, wow, oh, wow, okay, I'm going to apply this, and this to my business, or I can shift that limiting belief that I have about myself, or if she can do it, I can do it. It's really important, again, to be aware of what that looks like on a day-to-day basis, and making sure that the inspirational stuff is not just kept for a rainy day. Again, it needs to go into this package of self-care, self-worth, self-development every single day. So that's what I found, kids. I'm going to be tracking it again this week and seeing what tweaks I can make and really noticing it. But if you found this useful, please do tag me. Please take a screenshot. Let me know where you're listening. Add it to your IGTV. No, Instagram stories. That's what I mean. Or Facebook. I'm there. So add me, or LinkedIn. My goodness, let's do that. If you found anything really useful today, please just do let me know. I would love that. Also, if you haven't booked your ticket for Jam and Plan, it's next week, the 27th. So do come along. It's your all-in-one day, your CEO day, 4 sessions, and you get a week of email support as well afterwards with me, one-on-one, completely confidential. So if you're just like, well, January's been a bit confusing, let's do February instead, let's do February instead and see where we are and how we can make this work. So if you've got any questions around that, do let me know. There's also 4 brand new masterclasses based on my pillars that I work with within my business about planning, packaging, presenting and propelling. So just go to my homepage, nikkieraby.com, and you'll find them there. You can access them immediately. Your personal brand plan is wide open as well, which is my online course. There's 2 versions of that, the done with me and the DIY version too. So you can literally work through the content by yourself, or you can go into detail and really work with me for 3 months to get your personal brand moving and shaking and all that great stuff. Right, have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. Drink lots of water. Notice how you can bring that self-care, self-worth, self-development into your day-to-day life. I will see you again on Wednesday. It's going to be a very special episode, but I'm actually going to record it over on Instagram today because it's 3 years today since I started the podcast. So I'm going to be sharing an in-depth video training, not training, but a conversation basically, sharing all of the things that I've noticed that have worked. So it might really help with your own content as well. So that will be up on Instagram today, Monday the 18th, but I'll share it as a podcast on Wednesday. Thank you so much for being with me. As always, I really appreciate all your kindness and your shares, and I love hearing your chats and what's been going on for you. So lots of love. Thanks for being here, all the support. It does not go without notice, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.